The diner's neon sign flickered like a warning as the night descended over the small town of Red Rock. Inside, the smell of fried bacon and strong coffee mingled with the scent of motor oil from the parking lot, where motorcycles glimmered under the dim streetlights. The calm was shattered in an instant when the roar of sirens announced the arrival of 2 police cruisers outside, their lights slicing through the darkness. At that exact moment, Malik Razor Thompson, a notorious Hell's Angel with a leather jacket patched in red and black, barreled through the diner door, a young cop hot on his heels. Glass rattled and a chair toppled as the officer shouted, drawing the attention of every late-night diner regular. But before anyone could blink, she appeared. Sasha Green, the diner's owner, a tall, muscular black woman with piercing eyes and tightly coiled hair pulled back into a bun, wearing a black leather apron that seemed as tough as her stare. Without hesitation, she stepped between the officer and Malik, her hands raised like a shield. "He's not going anywhere tonight," she said, her voice calm but filled with steel. The cop pushed forward, hand on his sidearm, but Sasha didn't flinch. Instead, she shoved him back with a strength that made the metal buttons on his uniform pop. Malik took the opportunity to slip behind her, but the officer recovered quickly and swung a baton. Sasha moved faster than anyone could follow, dodging, ducking, and delivering a series of crushing blows that sent the cop staggering into a table, which collapsed under his weight. Plates and mugs shattered, covering the floor in shards and sauce, as every regular stared in shock. Sasha's fists were precise, trained and merciless, her movements almost like a deadly dance, striking with calculated force at vulnerable points. Ribs, shoulders, knees. The officer fell to the ground, groaning, as Sasha grabbed Malik's arm and guided him calmly to the back exit, whispering, "You owe me one." By the time the sirens had faded, Malik was gone, and the diner was eerily quiet again, the remnants of chaos scattered across the floor. No one dared speak, some still frozen with disbelief at the scene they had just witnessed. Sasha returned behind the counter, wiped her hands on a rag, and went back to serving coffee as though nothing had happened, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to the wreckage surrounding her. The legend of that night began immediately among locals. The black woman who had taken down a cop in seconds to protect a Hell's Angel, and lived to serve pancakes as if nothing had occurred. Word spread quickly, faster than any gossip, with whispers of Sasha's strength, fearlessness, and loyalty traveling through the streets like wildfire. Nobody knew if she was just tough or if she had a deeper connection to the biker world, but one thing was certain. The diner had just become sacred ground, untouchable and dangerous. By dawn, the story of Sasha's confrontation had spread across social media, her bravery, and the viral footage captured by a patron, igniting a frenzy. Within hours, members of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, thousands of them scattered across the state, began converging on Red Rock. When Sasha arrived at the diner early the next morning, she found the parking lot already crowded with chrome gleaming under the pale morning sun, bikes lined like a metallic army ready for inspection. Hundreds of bikers, some tattooed from neck to knuckles, others sporting the club's signature red and white patches, eyed the diner with a mix of curiosity and respect. Sasha didn't flinch. She moved with the same unshakable confidence she had displayed the night before, walking past the rows of motorcycles to unlock the diner. She knew what was coming, and though she didn't crave attention, she welcomed the chaos it promised. Inside, she busied herself with coffee pots and grill stations, ignoring the hushed conversations and occasional thrum of engines outside, yet every eye remained on her. Rumors swirled that she had defended not just a biker, but a man they considered a brother. By mid-morning, over 300 motorcycles lined the streets around the diner, their riders sipping coffee, eating bacon, and sharing stories as though they were in a brotherhood meeting rather than a public roadway. Locals watched from a distance, wary of stepping too close, fearful of what might happen if they interrupted this army of outlaw bikers. Sasha, however, moved through the crowd like a conductor, serving plates, pouring coffee, and offering a smile here and there, her presence commanding loyalty without a word. The air smelled of grease and gasoline, but beneath it was a strange sense of camaraderie, almost sacred. Bikers shared their stories with each other, their laughter and growls filling the diner, creating an atmosphere both intimidating and strangely comforting. By noon, Sasha's diner had transformed from a sleepy roadside stop into the epicenter of biker reverence, a place where loyalty was paid in nods and respect rather than words, and where one woman's courage had rewritten the rules. Every patron, biker or civilian, understood the unspoken code. Sasha Green was untouchable. As the day wore on, Sasha's reputation spread beyond the biker community. News crews and curious locals tried to approach, but she maintained her calm, imposing demeanor, treating everyone with polite neutrality while silently controlling the situation. Inside, the diner became a stage for stories, laughter, and the occasional argument over spilled coffee or cutlery. Bikers recounted the night's events in exaggerated detail, praising Sasha's strength, precision, and loyalty as if she were a myth made flesh. Malik, the Hell's Angel she had protected, finally returned, shaking hands with dozens of his brothers, but his gaze continually found Sasha, gratitude evident in every subtle nod. The diner's staff, previously overwhelmed by the sudden influx, adapted quickly, guided by Sasha's unwavering authority. Outside, the sound of engines starting and stopping became a rhythm that underscored her dominance, not just as a business owner, but as someone who commanded respect from some of the most dangerous men in the country. She moved like a force of nature, multitasking effortlessly, flipping burgers, managing orders, and defusing the occasional heated conversation, all while maintaining the aura of someone who could crush anyone who dared cross her. Children, whose parents hesitated at the edge of the crowd, watched in awe as Sasha calmly handed over cookies and soda, showing that beneath her formidable exterior was a woman who balanced danger with care. By evening, local law enforcement had arrived, unsure how to handle the situation. They approached carefully, whispering among themselves while Sasha met their gaze with unyielding authority. No words were exchanged. The standoff lasted only a few tense moments before the officers recognized the unspoken truth. Sasha Green had won, and there would be no arrests that day. The bikers, sensing the tension, revved engines in solidarity, and the officers withdrew, leaving Sasha's diner standing victorious amidst a sea of chrome and leather. Night fell again, and the diner had transformed into something more than just a place to eat. It had become a shrine of sorts, a hallowed ground where legends were forged and stories of bravery were immortalized. Outside, bikers had set up makeshift camps along the roadside, their motorcycles parked in neat rows that reflected the glow of the diner's neon sign, while engines occasionally growled in the quiet night like distant thunder, reminding the town that this gathering was not ordinary. Around flickering campfires, tales of Sasha Green's courage were recounted repeatedly, each version more dramatic than the last, as riders gestured wildly, laughed, and toasted to the woman who had faced danger without hesitation. Inside, the diner hummed with a subdued energy. Malik, now fully relaxed and free from pursuit, leaned against the counter while Sasha poured him a steaming cup of coffee, and they shared a quiet smile, a bond forged in the crucible of last night's chaos. The diner staff moved efficiently, serving food and drinks to bikers and curious locals alike, their eyes still wide with amazement at the woman who had single-handedly commanded the respect of hundreds of hardened outlaws. Every visitor, biker or civilian, left with a story to tell, knowing they had witnessed something extraordinary, something that would ripple through Red Rock and beyond for years to come. Sasha walked slowly through the now calm diner, her silhouette framed by the neon glow, her every movement radiating quiet authority and strength. She paused for a moment by a window, looking out at the motorcycles parked along the street and the lingering hum of engines, feeling the weight of what she had accomplished. She knew the world beyond these walls could be harsh, dangerous, and unforgiving. Yet here, within this space she had claimed, she had created a sanctuary, a place where loyalty, courage, and respect were honored above all else, and where fear had no foothold. As the night deepened, the 300 bikers gradually dispersed, some heading back to distant towns, others settling down under the stars to keep the vigil alive. Yet even as the crowd thinned, the presence of their loyalty lingered, like an invisible shield surrounding the diner. Only a few remained inside and around the diner, quietly sharing stories and laughing, ensuring that the legend of Sasha Green, the black woman who had protected a Hell's Angel, dominated a cop in seconds, and held an entire biker army at bay with nothing but her strength, intellect, and unbreakable will, would continue to grow. Sasha returned to her counter, methodically wiping down surfaces and pouring herself a cup of coffee, finally allowing herself a slow, deep breath, knowing that she had not only defended one man but had left an indelible mark on the town itself. The neon lights reflected off the chrome of the parked bikes outside, casting her in a soft halo, as if the universe itself acknowledged the magnitude of her courage. In Red Rock and far beyond, the story of Sasha Green would live on, a testament to fearless determination, loyalty, and the undeniable power of one woman who stood unwavering, commanding respect not through words, but through the force of her actions and the unshakable spirit that defined her.